Great. Okay, welcome to the Witterings Fitness Podcast, where we have the mission of inspiring and unleashing the potential of 1 million people to live with exceptional health. Today we have Tahir Mohammed, who is an expert in his field, and I'm going to let him explain what he's an expert in. Welcome to the podcast, Tahir. Thanks for joining us.
Super. Well, thank you very much, Ben, for inviting me. Yes, I'm a clinician, a physician consulting. I'm a consultant in medicine and rheumatology, and my particular interest is bone health and inflammatory arthritis, really helping people deal with those particular conditions to restore their health back to normal, and be without symptoms, without drugs, and without doctors. So that's our sort of particular sort of narrow focus. Okay. More broader perspective is more about prevention and having being a resource to individuals to improve their health over time and their sort of capabilities. And so this is why I was fascinated to learn about some of the things that you're doing and why there's a bit of an overlap in terms of the kind of results that we want for our patients and others that work with us before they have any symptoms, to be really proactive about different aspects of their sort of well-being. So yeah, I'm delighted to speak to you and share some of the stuff that we do. Great.
So your rheumatology, just put that into layman's terms for me. What is rheumatology?
Yeah, so rheumatology is lots of medical conditions. In the main, rheumatologists see a whole bunch of different conditions to do with inflammation, with the joints, with connective tissue, with muscle. The symptoms that we might see can involve, from head to toe. So it could be even brain or nerves or eyes or other organs of the body. But in particular, it's focused around the joint and the inflammation and issues around that. So my sort of super narrow focus and our sort of clinic's focus is more on inflammation and arthritis and trying to reverse that. And then particularly with osteoporosis, which is this porous bone, which is weakened bone. And that's actually a very common condition. We could touch on the numbers in a minute, but what that does is increases the likelihood of us having a fracture and an injury. So anybody may have had a fracture or lost height over time may well have osteoporosis. And in itself, it's a bit like blood pressure. It doesn't have any symptoms, but if you're having the fracture, then there's a whole stack of consequences from it. So even if you have one fracture in your spine or hip, it reduces your life expectancy. And yet it can be identified at any age. And we know decades before somebody's going to have a fracture. And so there's a whole bunch of interventions that are possible. And from our point of view, it's really more about raising awareness, improving the health literacy that we all have, and supporting in people's understanding and literacy about their health. And this is where some of the work that you're doing really supports that sort of development of that capability. So our dream is when we have a foundation too, is that one day there won't be any osteoporosis and you won't need people like me or anybody, So it's not let's build more hospitals and more clinics and like white coats to see people. It's like not have the disease. Exactly. So we have a foundation called Global Osteoporosis Foundation. It's got a URL with some content for sort of general use called sticksandstones.org.uk. And we can put some links in there. So the idea is that we can get a little bit of awareness and sort of curiosity about ourselves and be like wowed by how blessed we are to be how we are. And use a little bit of sort of insights and guidance and support and coaching that might exist to improve all of those things. So just coming back to the people who are in current danger or may have had a fracture already or have somebody in their family who's had a fracture or lost height or has a diagnosis of osteoporosis, we want to take them to a place of safety as quickly as possible. And for that, we have a process which is a patent around it, which is it's holistic, does a whole bunch of different things. Again, a lot of stuff on nutrition, exercise, a whole bunch of other things. And then also very judicious use of drugs. And what we try and do there, the product there is we want to achieve a 10-year gain in bone with 1 year's worth of treatment. And then over a 2-year period, you can have 2 decades worth of more bone. And as you know, we all sort of average age is about 80 odd, and that's sort of changing. But, a lot of the time we might live to this or that age, but we're not healthy. And so our wish is for everybody to be, healthy for as long as possible, and, as vital as possible, and so on. So if we can help people be curious, be proactive, make an early diagnosis, and then if they have an issue or somebody in their family have an issue, help them become stronger. And this is just the amazingness of the biology that we have. So we're using all the stuff that we know, all the science we know, all the evidence we have from a mainstream clinical point of view, but using a whole bunch of different other approaches and techniques to try and help people get a little bit stronger in a safe way, in a relatively real time, as it were. So it's a real blessing to be able to do some of this stuff and be a resource. But we hope it's a short-term thing, and then everything will move towards not having this problem in the first place.
Amazing. Yeah, so it's very much preventative, but then if you've got a problem, we're going to get you out of danger.
Yeah.
Amazing to hear you talk about all of this. I didn't know about the foundation. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'll send you the link, and we have
a
time frame when we're going to we're going to get rid of our foundation. So it's called Global Osteoporosis Foundation. By 2040, we will not exist.
You don't need to be.
And we have no infrastructure, we have no buildings or corner offices or titles. Everybody pays for their own expenses. And we've got a particular innovative approach how we're going to go about this. And we've got some people who are very generously supporting that effort.
Yeah.
So we just want to, we're obviously very naive. And, I've been in the health service for, this is my 4th decade. Yeah. So I sort of have a whole stack of understanding and capability, but I still have a very sort of simple notion that if we really want to serve people, it would be better to serve them in a way that we really keep them safe, and they don't even know that something's been done to keep them safe, as it were. And so, yes, if they come to us, we can, really privileged to be of some support and service and get them better and stronger. But it would be so much better if they never needed to come to us.
Yeah.
And then we really made an impact on humanity, and if we can solve this issue and the project, then we can do a whole bunch of other things. We improve our own capabilities of contribution, of collaboration, and then we can do other projects. So it's that sort of relatively simple way of thinking about things. And we look at everybody as to partner and to collaborate and to support and to appreciate. So I mean, what you're doing is really incredible. So we can think of all sorts of ways that we can we can work together and to support our communities.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to hear that, and to be a part of your global effort to eradicate osteoporosis. And I can't think of anything I'd rather do with my time. That's awesome.
No, seriously. But the thing is, because you've already done the hard work. See, you've got this very streamlined process. It's a 6-week thing. I mean, there's a thing that we're going to be doing for schools and stuff. And again, I'm thinking, oh my God, I got to get Ben in there. So
we have a full outreach program as well.
Really?
So we'll talk about that. Fine.
Yeah. Well, we could. So we're just sort of setting up a little prize for people, and the biggest gift we can give each other is this idea of really appreciating who and wherever anybody is, wherever they are, and then give them some small insights and evidence thing that helps them be even more, and help their confidence and help their sense of appreciation of themselves, and support them in the developing of their capabilities, which also helps us. And so all of a sudden the whole planet moves to a slightly different level. And then if you're in this sort of state of service and support and contribution, then it's like we just by the act of sort of interacting with one another, we're sort of improving our sort of sense of value. And then it's sort of like a positive feedback loop sort of thing, and and most of the time most people do really amazing things, and we just got to have that sort of lens rather than looking to find faults with one another, oneself or other people, sort of stuff.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think the healthier we are as people, the more we want to look after the place we live. And I
Yeah.
think it's all a byproduct of being healthy, which is, yeah, amazing. So it's great to hear you talk so passionately about all of this. Where does that passion come from? Like, what's your background? How did you get into this, and why osteoporosis in particular?
Yeah, I think a whole series of accidents. I think, you know, we're all influenced by our sort of upbringing and the people that we've had, you know, sort of family and beyond and so on. So I suppose one of the things that really impacted me in a major way and to trying to help people minimize their health dangers is, you know, and I've sort of briefly shared this with you before, is the big, like, you know, like a big, you know, meteor event in my life was that my dad goes to work and doesn't come home. I'm 12. You know, we're like helpless with this little children. But if anybody walked up to us and said, "Oh, we can support your dad, or we can improve his health or minimize his health dangers," you know, we would have given them everything we had, because you know, you want that support, and you know, you want to do the best thing for the people that you care about at any age. So obviously I couldn't, you know, I you know, have very limited capabilities now. I had even less capabilities back then. But thankfully, you know, with all the experiences and the guidance and the support that I've had, you know, I've had incredible mentors, I've had incredible support and guidance from my family, my patients, a whole bunch of mentors, you know, Nobel laureates, sort of other incredibly gifted and insightful and generous people. So as a result of all of that, you know, we have a set of capabilities now that we can make a difference to one person or the next person. We can make difference to wider communities. We can create networks or you know, tribes to help support one another and to leverage you know, different associations and so on. So you know, I think a big thing was that sense of sort of vulnerability, not being able to support or serve or help in any way. They're having a situation where, as a result of, it's not me, it's just a whole stack of support and guidance and encouragement, that we're at this place where, you know, we have connections with a whole array of different people, including yourself, where we look to be of some small resource and support to people around us, and be a small level of service or contribution. And you know, we all have a finite amount of time to get stuff done. Our capabilities are finite. So, you know, when you have some understanding or appreciation, you just got to build them, the collaboration, and then deliver the value, and then, you know, get out of the way, as it were, because things are always in a state of flux. So there is a degree of urgency, but I think, you know, we just get to be on the planet, and it's you know, it's a real privilege to be of some use and value, you know, in whichever small way we can.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, well, it's a big event that you've turned into a force to motivate you, and yeah, it's clear. It's good. So what about osteoporosis in particular? So why osteoporosis?
Yeah, so I think I mean, a bunch of things. It's a field that's dealt with in rheumatology. When I became an attending, my predecessor used to do osteoporosis. So this was like 20 odd years ago. And so I became more interested, and it's something that I have some understanding, obviously at the clinical level, you know, but also at sort of personal level. It is something that's super common. It would affect it would affect all of us, either directly or indirectly. So 1 in 2 women over the age of 50 will get a fracture, 1 in 5 men. So there will be somebody in our family who's got a fracture or has osteoporosis. And remember, it's a symptomless disease. So you have no symptoms, a bit like blood pressure, until you get a stroke or you know, heart attack, or you've got some problems with your kidneys. So it affects everyone, especially as we age or we have other conditions going on. And the amazing thing is that we can do something about it. And most medical things, as you know, we can sort of, you know, make some small changes at the edge or whatever. You know, if somebody has a heart attack, I can't really reverse a heart attack. But with osteoporosis, we can get your bones back towards normal, which is like amazing. So it's almost like a surgical intervention. You have an issue, you have a vulnerability, and we can minimize it and remove it. So it's from that point of view, it's really gratifying. And then the main thing is that we can do something for a while. We can restore people's health and capabilities, and then we get out of their way.
Yeah.
And our mantra in the clinic is London Osteoporosis Clinic. We're in London and Tunbridge Wells. Work out of the Shard in Harley Street. The mantra is more sort of towards, we want people to be, as a minimum standard, we want people to be symptom-free as immediately as possible.
Yeah.
We want them to drug-free as immediately as possible, and then doctor-free as immediately as possible. So your capabilities are restored, and that might be for osteoporosis or even for arthritis. So, thankfully we can get to drug-free remission. So you can have remission with the drugs, and you can have remission without the drugs, and then obviously get rid of the doctor. So for us, I think that's the sort of the highest aspiration that we have with anybody who comes to clinic, because if we can restore their health, get them back to normal. Now they're independent of us; they don't need us.
Going to put yourself out of business to hear.
No, I'll be so happy, because I think it's because all I'm trying to do is serve them, and as I'm doing that, I'm gaining in capability. I can be able to deliver more value in less time.
Yeah, it's so refreshing. I mean, sorry to interrupt you, but it's so refreshing to hear you say it, because I joke about it, but so many people are on all kinds of drugs and just stuck on them, aren't they? And particularly mental health. I think arthritis is the same. There are things out there which you can get yourself off the drugs. You can get yourself off of needing a doctor, or even physio, really. For me, it was exercise and injury. I had so many injuries, and I thought, I don't want to have to see a physio for the rest of my life. I want to take ownership of this. And what do I need to do? Who do I need to learn from? And so you're the man for osteo and osteoarthritis.
Yeah. Well, our main thing is, because I think if we can restore their sort of sense of appreciation, and for ourselves as well, it applies to all of us, because we go through moments, we think this, that, and the other, and everything is sort of very much internal. But we do need guides and mentors, and this is what I've been blessed with. That I have a huge number of sort of people who've been utterly generous and supportive. I mean, I was talking to somebody, Professor Sir James Black. He got 2 Nobel Prize. Well, he discovered 2 separate drugs which really changed the whole of medicine: beta blockers and antacid like cimetidine. And he was at King's, this incredibly eminent thing. And I was like a little medical student, and I would just turn up. I got this idea, that idea, and he would encourage me, ask me to look something up, or share half his sandwich with me. Whatever, I mean, he didn't have to. And yet there were other consultants or others at King's who were like, wouldn't give me the time of day. And yet, and there's a whole stack of those sorts of people. And then, everyone I see in clinic, by the way, are always teaching me. They're always coaching me. I learn about something that they've done, or some insight they have of their industry, or what, so everyone's like, incredible in their own way. So yeah, it's just sort of having that sort of sense of appreciation of different journeys, and being, some resource, but always, for me, it's just getting that focus back on individuals. And we set quite high standards. We want people to be symptom-free, we want to be drug, and if we don't achieve that, we sack ourselves from the case.
Yeah.
Because we want to produce the maximum value in relatively quick time. And if we find that there is there isn't the right alignment, and we're not driven transformative value, then we don't want to be there, because we don't want to take people's time, we don't want to take their money, or we've got to be like transforming stuff, or not in the equation. And maybe we need some more capability. We will go and develop that and then come back. But yeah, the focus is serving as real time, as quickly and as possible, so that we can restore people's function. They can go back and do the things for themselves, for their families, for their communities, and so on.
High standards set us free, 100%. So I'm conscious of your time, because we've done 20 minutes already. I feel like we could chat for quite a long time. Give us like the top 3 things
Yeah.
You said osteoporosis is symptomless. So
Yeah.
who should be particularly interested? There's a time ago. Who should like be interested in what you're saying in particular? What are the risk factors? Like, how do they get checked? And then what 2 or 3 things that they could just start doing right now?
Yeah, so those are really good questions. So there aren't any symptoms. The simplest thing is really just be slightly curious about your bone, read about stuff around your general biology and so on, because it will be the best investment of anybody's time. So just a little bit about that. But if you have anybody in your family who might have had a break or fractured or is a bit shorter than they used to be, they may have osteoporosis. So that increases your risk of osteoporosis. If you're female, that increases your risk of osteoporosis. But, I've got big guys, like big sort of rugby sort of playing guys who have osteoporosis. So sometimes the shape, it can be in young people. I've got people in the 20s. I've got people in the teens who have osteoporosis. Obviously, they're older. So if somebody in your family has had a break or has osteoporosis, then it increases your risk. So be curious about it. And some of the risk factors are being female, being older, somebody in your family having a fracture, particularly a spine or hip. If you've got another medical condition, there are many medical conditions such as thyroid, diabetes, epilepsy, any inflammatory condition, asthma, arthritis, those sorts of things increase your risk if you had early menopause. Interestingly, even pregnancy is associated with osteoporosis. About 5% of people with pregnancy may get osteoporosis around the time of the pregnancy and post-pregnancy. So we have some young patients post-pregnancy have fractures because they develop that. So there's many medical conditions and also many treatments, including steroids and anti-epileptic drugs and many sort of drugs used in some cancers, in breast cancer and so on. So many drugs can have can increase your risk of bone loss. Otherwise, if you have some lifestyle things such as smoking, drinking, particularly sort of more than 1 unit a day type of thing, and if you had
that explains the rugby players then.
There's all sorts of things, and the thing is a lot of endocrine problems. So sometimes there may be an issue with that. So there are those sorts of risk factors. But in simplest terms, they can look up some questions on our website, London Osteoporosis Clinic, or sticksandstones.org.uk, and there's some questionnaire they can do. They got some guided resource, and you just sort of navigate some of that content. Now, if they're interested, we in fact have a complimentary strength training class, and hopefully we'll get you to support those on a Saturday morning. They can just book on our website, londonosteoporosisclinic.com, and we're just getting everyone access to it. It's a Zoom live class, and people can book. And we've got some old videos that they can access, and we also have some nutrition group classes. So nutrition is really key, and I know those are 2 areas that you're very focused on. So those are some of the quick, easy things that they can do. But I would really say, be a little bit curious about you and make it a lifetime study. And any investment that we make in ourselves, and we're particularly looking at a bit of guidance and a bit of sort of evidence support and resource, that would be like an amazing return. Because, and then if we can share this with our tribe, with our community, it then becomes another level of sort of value. And makes a real difference, and it's easier to do things with others, and we can get more achieved with less effort and so on, as you know. So some of those things will be worth thinking about. And if they have got fractures, then they should get treatment, and the treatment should really be that they want to reverse their osteoporosis. So our focus is reverse your osteoporosis, and there are different things you can do. Sometimes we don't need drugs, sometimes you may need drugs, but you always need some nutrition, and you always need some strength work to help. And then you need to have a plan, and then a guide, and then you need to track your plan. Otherwise, if you're not really careful about where you are, and we do a lot of work on making lots of assessments on, exactly what the dangers are, what the issues are, what the sort of lots of sort of tests and so on that we do, so we exactly understand what the truth of the clinical situation is. Then we have a very clear plan about where we want to go, and then we gently work our way towards all of that in a very systematic way. So if they have an issue, then work with people who would help them achieve that result.
Amazing. I think we better wrap it up there, but I'm sure we'll chat again.
Yeah. No, we'll be in touch. But it's really kind of you to make time, and we'll speak again, and we'll spend more time on this.
Awesome. Thanks to her.
Bye.